Georgia Tech 1896, when Lard scored 45 points. In 1896, Georgia Tech lost 45-0. Yes, you heard that right. 45 points to absolutely zero. A complete humiliation, no silver lining, no mercy points, just an empty scoreboard mocking them. And the most painful part? It wasn't because the coach was clueless. It wasn't because the players were weak. It was because of pig lard. That's right, an entire football team didn't fall on the field. They fell on a railroad track. Auburn students had cooked up one of the strangest pranks in sports history, and Georgia Tech paid the greasy price. If you thought lard only clogged arteries, think again. This time, it clogged Georgia Tech's hopes, dreams, and dignity, leaving behind a loss so slick it slid straight into history. It all started with a grudge. Auburn remembered Tech's dirty play in a previous matchup, and the students weren't about to let that slide. Revenge was on the menu, but instead of fists or fouls, the Auburn boys turned to Southern creativity and a bucket of pig fat. By nightfall, a group of them snuck out to the Auburn train station, armed not with weapons, but with buckets of shimmering lard. They slathered it all over the tracks until the rails gleamed like an oil slick. The plan was simple, brilliant, and absolutely insane. When Tech's train rolled in, it wouldn't stop. It would skate past Auburn like a slip-and slide from hell. The players would have no choice but to hike back on foot, already exhausted before kickoff. If Netflix had existed, this would have been the pilot episode of Prank Wars, 1896 edition. The next morning, the Georgia Tech squad rode confidently toward Auburn, jerseys packed, egos intact. The train whistle blew, the brakes screeched, and then nothing. Instead of stopping at Auburn, the locomotive kept rolling, gliding past the platform like a YouTube ad you can't skip fast enough. The Auburn station blurred by, leaving the Tech players staring out the window in horror. The train finally screeched to a halt in a place called Loachapoka, which already sounded like a punishment. Players climbed down, lugging their gear bags, and asked the obvious question, where's Auburn? Answer, several miles back that way. And so began the infamous death march. Helmets in hand, pads on their backs, the Tech squad trudged along dusty roads under the Alabama sun. Sweat poured, tempers flared, and morale died with each step. By the time they staggered into Auburn, they didn't look like a football team. They looked like survivors of a bad hiking trip. Meanwhile, Auburn players were fresh, rested, and probably sipping lemonade on the sideline. The result was inevitable. Auburn tore through Georgia Tech like butter, ironically enough. Touchdown after touchdown, the scoreboard ticked higher, while Tech wheezed like a group asthma convention. Auburn players looked like sprinters, Tech players looked like retirees. By halftime, the score was already embarrassing. By the final whistle, it was catastrophic, 45-0. No last-minute field goal, no mercy touchdown, no at least we tried. Just a giant, fat goose egg. And if anyone deserved the MVP trophy that day, it wasn't Auburn's quarterback or running back. It was the bucket of pig fat. Cheap, slimy, and devastatingly effective. That lard had done what no linebacker could, neutralize an entire football team before kickoff. The legend spread quickly. Auburn fans laughed for years. Georgia Tech fans, not so much. If Twitter had existed in 1896, hashtags like hashtag greased rails and hashtag 45-0 would have been trending across the South. But here's the twist. Historians have scoured newspapers from 1896 and found nothing. No reports, no evidence, no greasy fingerprints. The prank may never have happened. It could just be a tall tale, stretched and retold until it became folklore. But as the internet loves to say, if it's fake, it's still a great story. And this one is too good to let go. Whether Auburn actually greased the rails or not, the tale has become part of college football's mischievous mythology, living proof that in sports, the line between fact and prank is always slippery. So there you have it. A 45-0 blowout where the true MVP wasn't a player, but pig fat. Maybe it's myth, maybe it's truth. But Georgia Tech would probably agree. Saturated fats aren't just bad for your heart, they're terrible for your win column.